Alright. Open that up a little bit. So getting ready for my first ride on the v-strom. Put that up, put that in gear. Here we go. Let's go back road. Okay. Cows. Alright, so I messed up. I was supposed to be doing the Harley wave and I didn't. Damn it. I messed up my first biker wave. Yeah, I did my first biker wave to a bicycler. Woo! I nailed it. What's the low end? It's supposed to be 35 in here. 35, stay alive. Oh, somebody's cooking steaks, yo.
At this point, I'm just going to jump in here. See, for the rest of the ride, I'm not really focusing on what I'm saying. I'm more focusing on making sure that I don't get hit, that I'm in the right lane position, that I always have an out, that I'm not hitting giant potholes, I'm not running over kids, that kind of stuff. So my audio quality isn't great so far, and I'm working on that, but I figured it would be better just to do a voiceover here and tell the story that continues from last video. So when I got home, I looked for the keys. I could not find the keys. I started stressing pretty hard. I had about an hour left of light, so I grabbed couple flashlights and I headed back up to the dealership, which is an hour and a half away from where I live. So I got up there and I walked through the parking lot with these flashlights. I had a headlamp and then a really bright LED flashlight, and I walked about 2 miles from the dealership up the road, looking in the grass, walking in the grass, looking alongside of the road, looking all over. I did not wear reflective gear, and I probably should have. Turned around and walked back, and frankly, I had no idea if I even left the keys on the bumper, or if I didn't. Did I leave them on the trailer, or I didn't? I remember setting them on the bumper and thinking, I better not leave those on the bumper, because that's a really dumb place to leave them and I'll end up losing them. And I need to grab those. But at the same time, I'm tying down this motorcycle, and I'm afraid that my brand new motorcycle is going to fall on the trailer on the way back on the Michigan roads, and I'll destroy my motorcycle before I even get a chance to actually ride it. So, keys are lost. I stressed. I ended up the next day, early morning, calling around to find a locksmith. So my thought is, can I get the keys replaced? Well, I talked to the dealer. These guys are amazing up there at Pinnacle Power Sports. They answered the phone in the middle of the night. Scott had his kids, and the phone must be forwarded to his cell. But he answered me and said, "Look, here's what we can't get the ignition key code." So it used to be that the dealers would have these special codes, and you could give it to a locksmith, and they would cut you a new key. Well, it doesn't work that way anymore. Now they don't give that to dealers because there was too many, I guess, dealers making copies they weren't supposed to, or dealers didn't want to get accused of stealing or something. So anyway, they can't get me the key code. They could talk to their distributor and maybe he could get it, but they weren't sure. and then the other option was to have a key made. So I started calling around first thing in the morning, and I live in the Toledo area, so I was looking at locksmiths in Toledo. There's only like 2 that say they do anything with motorcycles, and 1 doesn't open until Monday, and this is Saturday morning at 7 a.m. So I started calling around Detroit, and I got in touch with somebody who was supposedly the specialist, and they said, yeah, we can do anything, right? So I called them and was talking about it, and they said, yeah, we can make keys for a motorcycle. What year is it? And I said, it's a 2017. And they said, what model? And I said, Suzuki v-strom. And they said, we can't do that. The only person that's going to be able to do that for you is Rapid. So I Googled it and found Rapid Locksmith and gave them a call. And the guy was a little short with me. It was first thing in the morning, and he apparently was loading up for a job in a different town. And I told him what was going on. And he said, look, you can bring it out to my job site. When I'm not working on the job I'm supposed to be working on, I can jump over and work on your bike a little bit. I said, okay, no problem. So I loaded up the bike and I drove an hour away to get to where the locksmith was. Nice guy. It turns out that whoever he was supposed to be doing this job for wasn't answering their door. So he sat down with me, or had me sit down with him over at the bike, and he put this, it looks like a regular key, into my lock, and he wrote on a cardboard box the numbers 1 through 7, and he's put the key in all the way, the blank key with this, it had a slot in it, and he slid this little stick like a feeler gauge in the slot, and he shakes his head no, and then grabs a different little stick and puts it in there and shakes his head no, and grabs another one, puts it in, kind of nods, and he says, okay, number 7 is a 2. And I'm making these up. I'm not going to give you my ignition code. And then he pulls the key up 1 click, so we're on number 6 now. So he puts his little stick in there, and he's like, number 6 is a 4, right? So he goes through all the way and writes these codes down. Then he goes over to his truck and punches these numbers into a computer, and boom, cuts a key, takes it out, starts up my motorcycle. So, number 1, I'm really glad that I didn't have a chip key. Number 2, I found the only guy in the area who can make these keys, on this kind of bike. He's just the pro. Now, it wasn't cheap, I'll be honest. It was $250. So, that's kind of steep. And I'm not rich enough to be this dumb. I always thought that, if you're rich, you can afford to make dumb mistakes, and I'm not, so I need to be a little more careful here. But I did get a call back on Monday from the dealer and said, hey, somebody was out walking their dog and found your keys and turned them in, so they're going to mail them to me. Which is good because the blanks, the Suzuki blanks, are $50 each. So, I spent Saturday riding around, went over to visit my wife's uncle. He wasn't home. Went over to visit a guy who loaned me a trailer. He was just getting ready to leave to go to a surprise birthday party. So I ended up driving a couple towns over to a Starbucks and got myself a coffee and had a leisurely ride home. Some of the things that I noticed, I don't know if it's the mirror, but it seems like drivers really like to ride your butt, and it must be the mirror, because I've been in a car before, and I know that I don't get close to a motorcycle, but it seems like everybody's right on my butt. I did use my lights on high beam, and it's got a passing thing, a little flash, and I used that when I was coming up to intersections. Really did a lot of focusing on other cars and making sure I was making the best choices as to lane position, visibility, slowing down. As far as the rudimentary part of the, shifting, riding, I'm surprised that how well I remember it. That does not mean I'm an expert, and I've already signed up for a beginner rider class, and then a returning rider class. So I have a couple classes coming up even this month. This month and next month. So I looked for an advanced class, but it's a 3-hour ride to get to the advanced class, and I don't know that I'm going to be ready for that. So, alright, so that's where I'm at. I am absolutely loving this bike. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for videos. Once I get my audio straightened out, then I'll be able to talk about stuff while I'm out on the bike, and it might be a little bit more interesting than just watching video of me riding while I do a voiceover on it. So that's it. Got the bike. The bike's running. I am absolutely loving the bike, and as of now, I think I'm going to need to get my first maintenance, which is the 500-mile maintenance, within the next week or two, if things keep going like they're going. All right, that's it. Enjoy. If you would, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and leave in the comments what you want to see. I can give a little bit more of my first impressions in the next video about, you know, the first time riding in traffic and doing a lot of riding. I'm going to be commuting on the bike back and forth to work. So if there's any questions or any comments, just let me know, and I will try and include more of whatever you want to see in my next videos. Alright, again, like, subscribe. Bye.